Turn toward me and look so weak. I've never seen you with such tired eyes. And everything we said we'd be, we just traded for a suit coat and a tie. And underneath the rows of trees, I will see you where the ocean meets the sky. Under your toes, the fire grows. You are ready for a different kind of life. You're shining forward, the wind is cold. You must return to the wild. You're shining forward, the wind is cold. You must return to the wild. Follow me down, there's no one around. Lay back and take your socks and shoes right off. That natural light is so damn polite, can make you feel just like you were young again. Standing underneath the rows of trees, I can see you where the ocean meets the sky. Under our clothes, a fire grows. We are ready for this life of running wild. We're running wild. Underneath the rows of trees, I will see you where the ocean meets the sky. Under your toes, the fire grows. You are ready for a different kind of life. Shining forward, the wind is cold. You must return to the wild. Shining forward, the wind is cold. You must return to the wild.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to the first round of Season 3 of the Le Mans Ultimate Series. I'm Kieran, I'll be the initial caster and broadcaster for this race. I've done this once before, my head very much overheated doing it, but I thought I'll give it another try, especially for the first round of these races, because they often end in some form of catastrophe or a lot of stuff happens, which was definitely proven from last season, with the first round having a race that ended with a 1 or a 0.017 gap at the end, which was taken by our eventual season winner, actually, Oliver Anderson, against the rival at the time, Andre Ursu, who are both back this season to fight it out again, with actually the middleman in that season being second place, the one we're looking at the moment in the Dalmatian-looking livery of Timo Zidek. So the main reason behind that is, one, there is actually now custom liveries, which is, thank goodness, that's now in the game. But it's also the Untalented Motorsport lads. That was actually a 1-2 for the Untalented team last season for Anderson and Zidek. So great outcome for them, and Urisu having a teammate in the form of Moy, who's not actually in this race at the moment from the looks of things. I haven't seen him appear, but there is potentially going to be a bit of a team battle on that side of things throughout the season. Whether it's something we really care about in the grand scheme of things, I don't think so, but it is something that I'm probably going to tally up at the end, because there is actually a plethora of duo teams, or at least teams bringing 2 members in this, so there could be some team battles going on. It would make things a lot more interesting to follow. So quite a few things happening. At the moment we're only in practice, as you can see from the overlays at the moment. I will have to sadly apologise on the side of 397. The broadcast overlay at the moment is horrendously broken, as you can see there. So I will try and make do as much as I can with what is provided. Some things load, some things don't. It's a bit of a an odd game. It seems like we only are allowed one of each logo, because we've already got a Porsche logo there. That's another Porsche. Yeah, this hasn't seemed to work. Hopefully it'll fix over time. I wonder if I go to GT3s if this will work. Let's take a pick of one of these cars. They work a little bit better, but it doesn't seem like things are particularly smooth at the moment. But in due time, hopefully something will come through with one of these. But yeah, at the moment, Porsche's coming through. Demoy has actually now appeared on my overlay. This, either I completely missed him, or it's only popped up and this is becoming incredibly slow. But already I'm finding difficulties with the workings of this. From what I've been told by a developer that appeared in the stream chat once, we're going to get some development on the broadcast overlay next season. Or next season, next update, or basically from now on there's going to be a good bit of focus on it, because the likes of the ELMS update, which came out yesterday actually, has completely broken on that side of things. So I did hop in a server with the ELMS stuff running, and basically nothing worked on that side of things. So that just really makes things even more fun. But as we come to the end of practice, we're going to get a final few cars come across the line. We can have a quick peek at what the times, or at least the top 5 in each class, are looking like. So we got Prinzi, and I believe that was a Porsche. Demoy also in a Porsche. Dominic Geese. Ex-Untalented Motorsports driver, actually. Someone who I believe got coaxed into this through Oliver Anderson, but has brought the new Aston Martin. And you've got Ursu, supposedly last season's threat to Oliver Anderson. Sadly, consistency not playing in his favour, as he had a 7th position, I believe it was, in one race, and then a DNF at Le Mans itself. I think that was mainly due to the fact that the Porsche he was driving, which he's also brought back for this season, just did not have good top end. It might have been set up, we're not 100% sure, but looking back at that race, he was losing about 10, 20 kph on the straight, which, because we were running the Mulsanne straight configuration as well, it was a very long straight, so he was easily losing about 10-20 seconds going down that straight, and that just killed it for him basically. Sorry, I'm also having to look at the LMU chat. If I go quiet at points, it's just because I'm having to multitask at multiple things at the same time. So please do go a little bit easy, as we do see Mazza go very wide there. And everything goes AWOL as we now head into qualifying. I've actually got a bunch of notes here at the moment. So with regards to cars, the hypercar class, I will get there eventually. We've got a good range in the grand scheme of things of how many hypercars there actually are. Not too drastic, but we've got 17 hypercars signed up at least for this season. I can't really say at the moment with regards to who is actually here. But one thing I should also note is that with regards to the qualifying, it is individual qualifying. There will only be one car, or appear to be one car on the track at a time. Personally, I would like it to be all cars on track, but hey-ho, I'm not the one running the league, so I just put preferences in. There's not much else I can really do on that. But at the moment, we're on board with Timo. First one out. Listening to that beautiful V8. The low grumble of the Cadillac, which we've now got the counter to that with the V12 of the Aston Martin, which actually promisingly looked very competitive, at least for the top end. So that was something really, really nice to see. But for the time being, we will have to wait for the times to come through. I think we see more people arriving in the server. I've got some people joining last second. It might just be people coming out of the pits. Not too sure on that one. But regardless, we'll see how things go. As first up comes Timo. Won't have a time just yet for him to follow, but we can at least follow the sectors, which I wouldn't be surprised if the first sector comes out purple. But over time, we'll see how things go. I'll leave that on in the background as I go back to the car situation for across the season. Within Hypercar, we have got the typical case of Ferraris being the strongest. That is shown within the numbers. We've got 4 Ferraris signed up. Pleasant sign for, showing from the LMDH side of things. It's not just all LMH cars. We've technically only got 6 LMHs in the form of 4 Ferraris, 2 Aston Martin Valkyries, no Toyotas, which did surprise me. The rest are all LMDHs, the popular ones being BMW, Porsche, and Cadillac, 3 apiece. And then we have got 1 Alpine and 1 Lamborghini, which is, again, I believe, Nard Cox, who likes to show up in the underdog car, which last season he showed up in the Isotta Francini. Fun car, not quick. However, he did do very, very, very well, actually, at Sebring, where he got a podium there. He got 3rd position. And that was a bit of a race as well. It was quite a mental one to play through with. As Timo comes across to the line now, we'll get the first time to come in for people to at least aim for. It seems like he's managing to hold all purple sectors at the moment. However, actually, as I look at the timing, I know that is rubbish, because Prinzi, who was actually leading in practice, jumps Timo immediately after. 2-second gap, actually, or just over 1 second, I should say. 30.043 for Timo and 28.986 for Prinzi. The Moy now splits the two of them, but we are getting the hypercar information come through now. It's all looking at the moment to be in favour of Prinzi. With a good gap at the moment, 0.4 to the next car, which is our last season threat of Andre. Oliver a bit further down at the moment, 6th position. But the thing is, from the season opener last time round, he's not obscure to starting far down and then getting a win. Mainly due to the strategy on that one, as it was a mixed condition race at Spa. which he basically played to perfection. So we can hop down now to, here we go, here is Andre in that Lamborghini that mentioned. Likes to go with the underdog. Sadly, we will not see this car. Well, we haven't seen this car this year within WEC. Whether we see it next year, let's just say I have my doubts. Bit of a sad story, this car, because, I mean, it came in with a lot of promise. The drivers they got behind it seemed to be a decent bunch, but just nothing really happened with it. They didn't want to spend the money for having 2 cars. Then it ran in IMSA for a little bit, and they didn't even have enough funding for that. So, all kind of went wrong, but for the time being, I think we can actually now show the first setup of the hypercar times. And as mentioned, Prinzi at the top. Logo's still not working. That is beautiful. So this is going to be incredibly difficult to tell you what cars they are in. But yes, Urusu, I believe, leading out the Porsches. However, actually, no, Prinzi, I also believe, is in a Porsche. Yeah, the Porsche is coming out very, very strong. All 3 Porsches at the top. 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Dominic Geese being the closest threat in that Aston Martin. And Shabalks in 5th, I believe, is a fellow Cadillac. Might be a Ferrari, actually. He is a Ferrari as he goes back to the pit. And there is... Oh, I knew that would be nice to click to. As the Aston Martin coming through. I think that's Cota. I've learned some names behind the corners at this track, and I am surprised how corporatized it is. So the corner before 100R, which is the giant fast hairpin, aka turn 3, is Coca-Cola. It's a Coca-Cola corner. The more you know about these sort of things, absolute weird stuff. But anyways, we can start coming back up the hill through Dunlop, through the awkward kink, which I know fellow drivers at Snack and Sons don't particularly like. They like the old layout where it's just a straight line coming up, as it allows for more overtaking opportunities. Turn 13. Now into the final one, which is actually Panasonic. Onto the main straight, a very, very long straight here, which I would imagine is where a lot of the overtaking is going to be happening. Now, if this was anything like the test stream, actually, I did about a year ago, this T1 is going to be carnage. There was a lot of struggling on braking. However, I think people have learnt brakes a bit more now, so that we can not have too much drama. As a big snap for Geese, but he collects it up well and continues on. But this lap will sadly be null and void. As we can head now to GT3. Obviously, they've put their times in, not expecting fast times because they are naturally not as built as much. We're on board at the moment with Antonio Nota in the Mercedes. And actually, the GT3s are where it's a very pleasant spread of manufacturers across the board. There are still some favourites in there, but the fact that we have 21 cars as well is to play to that. But at the moment, looking through the numbers, so a couple of one manufacturer runners. We've got 1 Ford, 1 Corvette, 1 Ferrari, and 1 Lexus in the runnings on that. Got no Aston Martin, sadly. I do miss that V8 Bois. But we've got the Ford to play up on that side. And we've got 2 Lamborghinis, which I'm actually quite surprised because I thought the Lamborghini would be the favourite. However, I am not aware of recent update balancing and where they lie within all of that. But the Lamborghini only having 2 drivers in it. Then we've got 2 McLarens as well, which we can see 1 on the logos from Craig Hill. If I'm not mistaken, within ACC is actually quite fond of it in there as well. I might be mistaken on that one. Might be the BMW, but I do believe I've seen Craig in the McLaren in ACC, so he's just transferred that one across. We've got 4 BMWs. Not too surprised there. Very stable, very quick. Relatively easy car to drive in the grand scheme of things, so not too surprised there. You can stay consistent. So, and that's kind of why we see 2 of them at the top at the moment. Oh, BMWs are working from the looks of things on that overlay. So we've got 4 there. Actually, I wonder what happens if I refresh the overlays. No, that doesn't work. Good to know. Looking at the other manufacturers. One manufacturer I'm actually quite happy to see more of now is Porsche. We only had 1 Porsche last season. And sadly, didn't have the greatest showings everywhere. Bit unfortunate with spins, crashes. Did show very good pace, but ended up in the wall more times than I think they would like to have admitted. But we've got 4 Porsches this season, so a very nice mix-up of things. Actually, I think I can go to one now. Here we go, Fabrizio Torri, sorry. I will be mispronouncing names, so feel free to slander me. I know that. Uneducated Brit. But yeah, 4 Porsches is nice to see. And then the final manufacturer, which is actually the one we started on, Mercedes, there's 5 of them. Now, I remember on launch, that car wasn't particularly great, but it seems like people have snuggled up to it quite nicely, and now it's actually proving to be more of a threat, or at least it's a popular pick. So, always nice to see. And then seems like Lexus at the moment doing quite nicely. In the hands of another Andre Bedetto. As Fabrizio gets a purple middle sector, which I believe starts at 100R, so it seems like it's got good top end, or at least good high-speed grip, Porsche at the moment. Now we let that 6-cylinder boxer engine sing down the main straight. Are we going to get an improvement from Fabrizio? It's a long run to the line. Sadly, we won't, but he has got promise in that middle sector. It's just the first and last proving to be the struggles. We have got a couple of drivers who aren't actually putting times in. I'm wondering if they're wanting to do a back of the pack run at the moment. Oh, is the high speed? Oh, it is a caster thing, isn't it? Caster curse comes into 100R. The high speed cornering that I said the Porsche seemed like it had good strength with just wasn't the case. Lost it part way through under load, but it does show that Fabrizio's putting the car to the ragged edge. And it seems like in this game it doesn't follow up, at least with the track map I have here. And the Sector 1 ends at the end of 100R. So it's just the hairpin and 300R. So this kind of middle straight, not straight. And you start heading up the hill here. And Sector 2 ends in the same place as what I have here. So just after Dunlop, basically. So turn 13 is where Sector 3 starts, basically. So I just need to keep a mental note of that. But let's have a look elsewhere. We can head back to Hypercars. Just having a peek at who's doing what. Shellikens is currently on a lap. One of the Ferraris we have. My word, I'm so happy there's custom liveries now, because it's going to make it so much easier to follow who's who. I just wish that the car numbers were put on the overlay, or the overview I've got here on my other screen. Oh, as a lockup comes through for Shelikans. Very easy to do in this game. At least if you've got an untrained foot coming from ACC, as one game teaches you to stomp, this one you need to be a bit more corrosive with that brake pedal, otherwise the car will bite, as we've just seen. Actually, I've also just noticed that Ferrari doesn't work on the overlay either. Ugh. Actually, if I refresh the overlay here. That doesn't work either. Oh, and I've thrown that timer off massively. What have I done? Oh no. So, Mick Shelikans has apparently gone into the void with his time. There we go. That's fixed it. Well, for the time being. Coming into the first corner. Stops it in time. Does seem like he might have overslowed a little bit with a bit of a late brake to it. Hooks it into Coca-Cola. Now it's 100R, which in these cars you need to be very committed to be able to use all that aero. Good follow through. Braking into the hairpin, carry the speed through. Mick's got a green first sector. So currently on a PB. Flat out all the way down to the bottom of the track. Lowest point at Dunlop. To the cutback, just a lift through there. Should get you enough off the speed. Need to abuse all the curbs you can here. Is the racing line through here isn't as instinctual as you'll probably imagine. Does go yellow in the middle sector though. It still might be enough coming out here. Gets a good run onto the final straight as we've got the long run to the, at least the qualifying line, which is in the middle of the pit straight, just there. And he does go quicker, but sadly doesn't go higher. Stays in 8th for now. But there is still 3 minutes to go within qualifying, and with the times these guys will be doing, that could be 3 laps. Or at least 2 push. 1 push, 1 cool, 1 push. Because the tyres in this game, if you're using them right at least, will overheat. As I'm actually noticing, I think Demoy is... not Demoy, Shelikans is actually on mediums at the moment, not softs. I might be incorrect. I do actually have a way of finding out. Hopefully, have they broken this? They haven't. Everyone's on mediums. Very interesting. Mediums opting to be the better one from the looks of things. As I think Princey's just gone quicker again. We're down to a 28.681. So we can actually go catch up with him. Or actually, no, he can't have just gone faster. He's about to go across the line. And with 2 yellow sectors, I highly doubt that it's going to be much quicker. I also wish I could do an onboard now, but they have sadly broken that function as well, or at least the quick button. We can sit on a lap with Princey. Very committed through 100R. Tail end slipping out, but keeping control very nicely. Does go yellow again. Struggling to find that improvement from the looks of things. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be much more. But Andre is catching behind. 128.9 from him, so there's 2 drivers now below 129. But at the moment, Luca Prinzi, oh, that snap's not going to help this and the next lap, so yeah, he's going to peel off to the pits. Or he's just going to park it, as that's not going to help much there. As we're now in the final stages of the track. Oh, I just got a flash of green and Mazza's in the pits. Dominic Geese coming across the line, 2 green sectors. But he's peeling into the pits. He doesn't think it's an improvement. Tries to practice the pit entry and it doesn't go very well. He is not going to like the fact that I've caught that on camera. That is something for the world to see. Oliver Anderson. Oh, he's just come into the pit as well. Sherbolks. Managing to get across the line as we now go 0. He might be one of the last cars to come across the line. Currently in 5th. Doing very well. Fastest Ferrari at the moment. But it does seem like the Porsches are going to hold 1, 2, 3. As all of the cars from that are currently in the pit. Dominic Geese, likewise, in the Aston Martin in the pit. And Sherbolks has actually given up on this one. I don't even think he reached first sector, but he's probably got more information than us to see that he's not doing well. As everyone, as I click, goes into the pit lane. Back with Shelikans, a Ferrari, 2 yellow sectors, so sadly I don't think there's going to be much improvement from him from 10th. And the spin is definitely not going to help on that. Craig Hill, green middle sector coming in for the pit entry as well. Seems like everyone's just going to be getting the practice in. As now I think we have one more car on track. Jack Evans, the other McLaren, in a beautiful livery, might I add. Actually, that's something I can do this season now. I can rate some liveries because they exist. But the 2 yellow sectors, don't think much is going to come from this, sadly. As he does a very naughty pit entry, goes across the line. But again, everyone's just practicing that entrance for the race. And with that, that will be the final car across the line, as we will now be going into the race. As we can see, Luca Princi, Porsche. Well, you can't really see that, but trust me on the fact they are all in Porsches. Porsche leading out the pack here, which actually in the call earlier on, I was with the 5 of the drivers, Geese, Cox, Anderson and Zydek. Anderson bringing up the fact that we should have a look at the manufacturers to see how they were doing. And I think with this showing at the moment, it's going to heavily sway one way for the hypercars at least. So, Oliver, you need to do Cadillac a bit more. Thank you, over speaker, as my word, my overlay here has just gone mental with the timings. There are gaps here of over a year, if my math serves me correctly. I have no idea what's... Oh my word, this has really gone wrong. At the bottom of the grid, Partez, the Lamborghini of Cox. He likes to pick those underdog cars, but, well, there's a reason they're slow and underdog. But he likes the challenge more than anything. And a couple of BMWs lurking in there as well. Bouzas at the back there. For the GT3s, a BMW did actually pip it at the end. I should say pip it at the end. No, I think they were leading. Kravek with a 0.6 gap to the next car. Dominant showing at the moment. And it's a bit unfortunate because we don't have our previous season winner in the form... Can't remember who it was now. It's gone straight away from my mind. Apologies on that. But yeah, the top 3 drivers from GT3 last season aren't around in GT3 at least. But third place, Idris Partez, was actually promoted to Hypercar. But Mike Abranhoser and Pascal Vida, which Vida actually being in second, have transferred across. Both having a very good showing when they drove, but that was kind of their downside. They didn't appear for many rounds. So hopefully we'll see them a bit more. From the looks of things, Mike Abranosa isn't actually in this race at the moment, so bit of an unfortunate start to the season if that's going to be the case of how he shows up. But the cousin, sorry lads if I've forgotten already, but the cousin, Nelson Abranosa, has appeared for this race. As we await for the final cars to appear on the pit straight, we can get the race going. The calm before the storm. And I think one thing that was good, Dan Galvaro, who's currently in the pits still at the moment, he didn't set a time for hypercars, but there is now a system in place in the game. Well, it has been for a little while, but hypercars will be put with hypercars and GT3s will put with GT3s, because I remember at the start of last season that wasn't the case. And Mr. Nard Cox, who turned up late for season opener, had to start at the very back, fight his way through the GT3s. As we are now underway. Cars taking off. Dan Guevara is still in the pit. Seems like he's not appeared. And 3 of the GT3s as well. Craboli, Clean, Boucher all starting in the pits likewise. As we already are coming on to the start-finish straight. It just shows how long this opening bit is. As limiters are set in place. We have a very, very filled out grid. It's beautiful to see. And the first race of Season 3 is about to be underway. The flashing blue lights of the Porsche are going to be the manufacturer leading us off. As we are green for the first race. Princey doesn't seem like he's managed to get a good getaway. Andre Ursu's already fighting him, getting ahead at just before T1, but he is going to have the outside line. He's squeezing Princey to the inside. As people are very calm behind. Porsche is still holding 1, 2, 3. Dominic Geese in the background in the Aston Martin is going to be pushed out by Chabolks in the Ferrari, who is now going to be onto the back of Rick de Moy. But Princey's managed to make his way back through ahead of Andre. And the Porsches are going to hold 1, 2, 3 in the lead at the moment. But Andre dips up the inside of 100R. But the inside once again flips back to Princey. This is a great battle for first position. No yellow flags at the moment. Everyone seeming to be behaving themselves very, very well. And Andre back ahead. He's going to hold the position for now, but that is a sniveling Porsche. Luca is wanting to get back ASAP, as I feel like he's going to feel a bit robbed after getting overtaken at T1, getting it back at T2, but then that dip up the inside was a beautiful move from Andre. Chabolks in the Ferrari behind as well, seeming like he's managed to hold position over Dominic Geese as well. Timo Zidek in the Cadillac behind him leads out the Cadillac form. As we come across the line for the first lap. Relatively, well, I want to say uneventful. That's not true, as we do have our first yellow flag. But it seems only temporary. I think someone just went wide. Dominic Geese in the background as well. Seeming like he's under a bit of pressure from the likes of Timo Zidek. I think the lone Aston Martin in the race. I think Dan Cavallo was the other one, but he's currently just sitting in the pits. So I think he might be AFK, sadly. As a lock up there from Rick de Moy, he's going to open the door for Chabolks in the Ferrari to pull alongside. That is exactly what's happening at the moment. The two of them going to have a bit of a scrap, but the inside, even though it's only slight, will go in the favor of de Moy. But this is one hell of a pack he's creating behind him. Rusu and Prinzi currently running away at the moment from this pack, all being held up by the third place Porsche. All rampant to get past ASAP. And now seeming to have calmed down for a good bit. Just going to quickly refresh the overlays page. No, the time. Oh, the times have fixed on there at least. So that's good to see. The time's very much broken on my screen still. They are slowly sorting themselves out, but I'm getting some hell of a numbers. Note they're broken again. Cool. I'm going to struggle for a little bit. But GT3 at the moment. Kravik in the BMW is holding position against Pascal Vida. Nard Cox has already pitted. He's come in very early. I think he might have gotten a drive-through on the start of the race. Jumping the start maybe, or at least out of position. I do know how finicky it is on that. So ironically, when I mentioned last season that he started behind the GT3s because of how the system works at the time and he didn't do a qualifying lap, he's made that... Well, he's kind of made a point of it again. He wanted to do it this season, but in a very, very, very different way of doing it. Back to the likes of Kravik. He's already pulling away from Vida. I'm only going to have to go off a visual here. But yeah, that Ferrari potentially not having the pace just yet of Kravik. Kravik seeming like he might be just a bit of a dominant force. But the GT3s all seeming to have a good line up together at the moment. And I think that was Nelson Abrahosa in the background that I saw under a bit of a threat. That was from Fabrizio Torri, the Porsche we watched in qualifying. Lamborghini now in the background, going to be slotting through. That's Nard Cox. Technically, we shouldn't worry about him because that is by far a superior car in pace. But everyone already calming down, getting into a bit of a train already. We've got a yellow flag come out. I'm just looking through to see where that's from. I think that was just another car going off. Or going wide, I should say, rather than off. Go forwards a bit. This is Craig Hill, one of the McLarens. United Autosport livery. Looking forward to them bringing in the McLaren hypercar, which I actually got to see at the ELMS Silverstone weekend. Good fun weekend. But I am a bit deaf from it. Oh, bit of drama in the background actually from those Porsches that I mentioned earlier on. Bit of contact. Abranosa getting slowed down because he went into the rear of Torri, but now he's under threat from Bert Duke. Duke's made his way through. The BMWs again just calm and consistent seems to be the way of them. Having a decent top end makes them a bit difficult to overtake on the straights. Actually, we have the 2025 version as well of the car, which I think it was just minor modifications to aero, a bit of new headlights on them as well. Brunhoser, probably a bit far back for a move here. Is going to have a look, but I think it might be more of a fake out. No, it is a dive. Gets alongside. I think that is position back. Abranhosa. And actually, I said that was Duke. No, that was not Duke. Apologies. That was Giuseppe Torchio. Now Abranhosa's released again to catch up with the fellow Porsche Fabrizio Tori, who's now ahead. Switch our attention back to the hypercars. Mick Schelikens. Bit of an unfortunate qualifying. He's trying to keep up with Balaj Urancic. Urancic, sorry. Who's just ahead of him at the moment. I will once again apologise for the overlays. I have no idea what's happened to them. I'll do a quick refresh again to hope that something happens, but unfortunately not. So I can only give you positional information alongside a bunch of gobbledygook. Getting a lot of misinformation at the moment. Timo Zidek actually making his way up to 4th position. Something happened with both Dominic Geese and Schabolks, as they were a bit of a threat. That's a lockup for Timo as he's trying to overtake one of the GT3s. That was a bit of a barge to get him out of the way. Bit of a tut-tut-tut on that one, I think. And looking back, actually, I think that yellow flag was now Nelson Ambrahosa. He's fallen back to 13th now. Something's happened with him. Might have been a spin or something. Seems like he's just come out of 100R. So, not an uncommon place to have it happen, sadly, but something you don't like to see regardless. Back into hyperclass. This is the Aston Martin of Dominic Geese. And that's dropped back a couple of positions. Rick Demoy making his way through. And actually one driver I've not had a look at where he is. Not Rick Demoy, Timo Zidek, sorry. No, they are all in the right position still. Or same positions as they were, but Dominic Geese, I wonder if this works. Chasing down Schabolks. Might have been a potential little bit of contact for the two of them. Does this work? No! Enjoy understanding what on earth is happening there. We're racing in the void, that's all I can say. So we will have to go purely off of visual, sadly. Lap traffic coming into play at the moment, having to dive and weave through everything, slotting up the inside of the Mercedes. Needs to leave a little bit of room. Dominic, that was a bit cheeky there as he's pushed off the Mercedes. Trying to see who that was. I think that might have been, no, that's, I can't find who that was. I think they might be back on track now. Ah, Nota, there we go. Antonio Nota having a bit of an unfortunate one. Oh, nearly hitting a BMW there as well, diving through him. I think Dominic might be in for a unfortunate penalty if that one is looked at. A few more cars within LMGT3 that he's going to need to make his way through. He's gone wide and a bit of a slide as well. This isn't a fun place to get past, but he is going to make it just before the Coca-Cola kink, as I am going to refer to it from here on, or turn 3, if you want to be less formal. Or actually, no, more formal, I guess. Coca-Cola isn't particularly formal, but who cares? Hopping back to Season 2 winner, hence why he's got the number 1 on his car, Oliver Anderson. Currently in a fight with Urancic, Balazs Urancic, in the Ferrari, one of the other Ferraris we have on track today, as he also has a Ferrari behind him. And actually looking at this, Oliver has actually dropped back. So whether he's gone off or he's actually just been overtaken by Balazs, hard to tell because we missed it on track, but he's now in the middle of supposedly 2 slower cars at the moment, but it does seem like he's struggling. He's just holding position for the time being, but Schelikens is slowly creeping up behind him for the time being. As he gets a lockup, nearly goes into the back of Urancic. That's cost him a little bit of time. Schelikens is whiffing the potential of this. For the time being, Schelikens, all he's really had to do is stay out of danger, and he's actually managed to make a couple of positions. Biggest one being Nard Cox, that Lamborghini getting the drive-through on the race start. Actually, one thing I haven't noticed as well, Konstantin Buzas. BMW 2 laps down. Whether that was a late joiner, not too sure, but we have another hypercar in the race, and he's actually behind the GT3s at the moment, even in track position. Big snap again for Oliver. The Dalmatian fights on for the time being, opting for a hard on that front left. I think everything else will be medium. As the tyre strategy, I can imagine, will differ across the board. You can have a quick peek at what people are running. Yeah, mixed hards and mediums seeming to be the way to go. Don't know why hards are listed green. They should be red, but hey-ho. We play with what we have. Going back to MGC3, we've got a squabble here, 4 cars. All different manufacturers as well. Something beautiful to see. A fight between Voros, Badetto, Lucan and Torri. In the background, actually, a move being attempted by Torri onto Lucan. I think it's worked out. It has worked out. I think a bit of a switchback. But that has put them a little bit back in this little group. I don't think Lucan is going to be particularly pleased with that one. Whether he's going to work with Torri now to make it back to the Lexus and the Mercedes. We'll wait to see, but Badetto and Voros are currently just going to pull away. The fight, I think, might be a little bit done here, as it's going to be a little difficult through here for a move to happen. But Lexus getting very close to the rear splitter of Voros's Mercedes. As if I'm not mistaken, is that Lion Speed livery? No, oh, it's the CrowdStrike, or a CrowdStrike inspired, I'll say, livery. The yellow flag once again has come out. I think that might have been Jack Evans, but we'll stay with this fight for the time being. to see what happens coming into turn 1. Slipstream for Badetto. Looks at the inside, but I think this is only going to be a whiff. This is only a fake. As it'll be a hell of a dive bomb if he does have a look for it. And I've just remembered, actually, because this is the 2025 season, we've now got the virtual position markers on the sides of the car, so it might be a little easier to follow. However, I remember watching them for the first time on the WEC broadcast. They were a bit difficult to see. So they do have their uses, but quite difficult to use effectively, let's put it that way. As we see now, Badetto's getting a bit impatient, having a bit of a sniff going into the hairpin. We plunge downhill through, I guess, turns 8 and 9, but obviously because they're so slight, they are flat out into Dunlop, the cutback. But the pace between Voros and Badetto so similar. I think it's going to be a bit difficult for Badetto to make a move unless he really, really goes for a dive bomb. And actually, as I say that, Voros has gone wide. He's left the door open, but the problem is it's in such an awkward position. All Badetto can do is sit behind. He's going to have to try and get a good run here. He's very close, but in the background now, the Porsche of Fabrizio Torri is coming into this fight, as a hypercar also is coming into this. Potentially going to cause some issues going into T1. BMW staying way out the way. No, he's going to clear in time. But the Lexus is now going to pull alongside. It's going to be a dive bomb. Well, not really a dive bomb, but it's going to be a braking challenge into T1. And Badetto goes wide, gets position for a bit. He's gone wide and he's spun. That is sadly Badetto out of that fight. And Voros pulls away now. But he's going to have the threat of Torri now on the inside. Or not Torri on the inside, sorry. Torri is going to be the next threat, I should say, but luckily he's going to be held up by the Lamborghini of Nard Cox, who's now, well, actually I say now ahead of all the LMGT3s. I think he's actually through to lap them. He has been ahead of them for a while, but obviously that's expected within the pace disparity. And now Voros. Well, I was going to say take a breath of fresh air, but Torri in the Porsche seeming to be very strong on those brakes. Takes a wider line to get a bit of overspeed. Potentially going to get a cutback here, but that Mercedes is going to hug the apex. This is a great battle. Haven't needed to cut away. Torri staying close. Once again, taking a bit of a wider line to slingshot, get a bit of overspeed going down the main straight. This is a perfect place to do it. And I think he has got the overspeed. Yellow flag again. Don't see any particular threats on the speed charts I've got here. The Mercedes seems to have very good speed, actually. Voros going inwards a little bit. Going to hold a slightly narrower line than normal, but that's enough to throw Torri off, or at least slap him back in position, tell him to stay there for now. But I think it's this middle sector where the Porsche really comes through strong. Mercedes seeming to opt for a bit more of a top end than anything. So I think for the time being, they are just going to hold position. I think the next particular opportunity is going to be coming down here into Dunlop, turn 10. And again, that top end of the Mercedes really holding out. And Voros really parking it on the apex now. I think he's struggling with the pressure from the Porsche, seeming just to be a bit more fluid through this section. And there's, oh, another Porsche. That's Andrea Ursu, the leader at the moment in hypercar, just diving up the inside, but he's made it equal for the two of them. Bit awkward. But as I think for now, we'll watch this one more time and we'll go and see what else is happening around the track. As the opportunity opens coming down the main straight. Is the overspeed going to be enough again on this? Because I think once again, Torri is going to be the one that gets a better exit, but the Mercedes has such incredible top end. That V8 6.3 litre engine just pulling it out. Torri's positioning himself on the inside, but thinks better of it. And actually, Voros has gone wide, but it's not going to be enough as he's on the outside where Torri wants to be. Voros has just managed to luck his way out on that, and that is an awkward place for a Porsche hypercar to be. And that's going to split them up once again and allow this fight to go on for one more lap. Mistake here and there, and actually as I was about to cut away, I have just looked back. This is a great run for the Porsche. Coming now into Dunlop at the bottom of the hill. There's going to be a hypercar bringing things in to be more awkward. The Mercedes is going to dive up the inside. He's almost jumping off the hypercar, but the problem is he's gone wide because of it. Forced Dominic Geese to use the off-ramp and chicane through the off-road. And that has allowed Fabrizio Torri through what a really difficult position for the Mercedes to be in, but well done to Fabrizio Torri to snatch that opportunity up and gain 5th position. We'll head into hypercar. These are the leading Porsches, 3rd and 2nd. Demoy charging down on Princey. Seems like most of the hypercars at the moment are just holding station. Lap times across the board seeming to be very, very similar. Well, unless the likes of Andreas, who at the moment is pulling a very beautiful lead. Because he's not even on the screen for these guys, as that's kind of what we have to go for Deltas at least. LMGT3 traffic proving to be a pain, having to wait. It's a horrible place to have it. You just have to wait to let him get past. And the LMGT3 car still on the inside. Well done from both drivers to not hit each other, but it is such an awkward section for traffic to catch up to you. And that's allowed Princey to once again just pull away quite happily. One thing I haven't even clocked onto is the likes that Timo Zydek's actually fallen back quite a few. He was 4th position, fighting with Marios Schubolks, who's in 4th currently, but he's fallen behind not only him, but also Geese and Urancic, another Ferrari who is just ahead of him. He's catching at the moment. I believe one of those yellow flags seems to have been him, and as I think I just saw Oliver Anderson, this car behind, either locking up or seeing some smoke. Something's going on with this car. I think it's overheating at the moment. Now I know Oliver's not a stranger to running this car hot, because when he was at Sebring, I think this car was smoking for at least the final half of the race. Something really is up with that car. He's running it very hot. Maybe not having the cooling fans open too much, opting more for the top end speed rather than ventilation, but, well, it does make your car go kaboom if you're not careful. Actually, with that, he's got the likes of Mick Shellikens catching up behind, and again, we're talking about this awkward position. It's the same car as well. It's the BMW leading in LMGT3, Martin Kravik. He goes wide. Shellikens opts to stay behind. Very well behaved, but if he wanted to race a bit better, I think it's going to allow Oliver to get away a bit more. That smoke is blaring out the back of that car. It is not seeming healthy. I think he might want to sort out those cooling ducts, open them up a little bit so the car doesn't explode, as we're not even halfway through the race. Well, we're close to, but it is going to be one very, very boiling engine for the final bit of the race. Going ahead to Dominic Geese. Catching up with Mariusz Szabolcs, who was quick in qualifying. Actually has managed to make his place back to his qualifying position, I believe. Both of these now going to have a big scrap. I believe the top end of that Aston Martin is the strong point. So going into T1, this is going to be an interesting battle. All mediums for Dominic Geese. But that front left hard is on Szabolcs' Ferrari. He's gone for the same strategy as quite a few. Dominic, I think, just playing it a bit easier, playing to the click on whatever's there situation. As Idrius Partez is the yellow flag, the only Alpine we have in the series. He's in the wall, in the grass, and I think that's after Coca-Cola. No, that's after the hairpin. That's coming down the hill at 300R. Or at least that's where he is at the moment. So something's happened there. He's not had a particularly great showing at the moment. Stuck in traffic for the time being, but car doesn't seem too battered at the moment. But obviously it's hard to tell when you're this far away. There are some scuffs on it, but all round seems okay. As we head back to the fight of Geese and Urans, or of Szabolcs, sorry. Ferrari maybe struggling under brakes, and actually I did see in the background Iransek and Zidek having the fight of their own. The Aston Martin trying to get alongside. There's a McLaren spinning in LMGC3. Just trying to see who that is. That's Jack Evans, person at the back of the LMGT3 pack at the moment, sadly going for another spin. That's not going to help his opportunity in the race, but it's caused some confusion within this little battle we've got going on here, as it's put the Aston Martin back a bit more. We'll go back now just to the battle behind Uransak, and actually what's happened to Timo? Timo's in the pit. I saw some smoke coming from him as well. These Cadillacs seem to run hot. But maybe just going... This might be a regulation one. Yeah, both of the untalented motorsport cars in. Both Dalmatians, both Cadillacs. So maybe Coming, because I do know they're both in a call at the moment. As they are in grid or positions behind each other. And it's only going to be fuel from the looks of things. And actually, Oliver Anderson seeming like he's managed to jump his teammate in the pits. Just taking a splash and dash. I think that McLaren, and actually the fact that Timo needed to be spun on the spot, has actually lost him time and given Oliver Anderson the position that he is going to be fuming after that one. Actually, I did just see a yellow flag. It was Idrius Partez again going slow, maybe going a bit deep. Going into Dunlop, and that rear end is not looking particularly happy. Oh, it's really snapping on him. That car does look a little more messed up than last time we saw it, as he was getting overtaken there by Mick Schelikens, I believe, the Ferrari. To the position of 4th and 5th. Not much happening here, but I think the luck once again is going to go in the favour of Szabolcs, as Geese is going to be caught up behind the 12th place Porsche of Nelson Ambrojosa. It seems like this is going to be one of those fights that all it takes is one cough, one hiccup, one little mistake. And that position is gone very, very quickly. But they're both working their way through traffic very well. And again, Shabolk's just getting up the inside of one of the LMGT3s to give himself a good slingshot and a good speed coming down the hill. And Dominic is just left to fend behind and get the best exits he can while being stuck a little bit behind one of the LMGT3s. For the time being, I was going to say they're going to hold position, and actually, as I say that, Shabolks goes wide. There's brought Dominic right back into this fight already. Gone for a little wider line as he tries to get on the throttle early. The car snaps on him, so that's really going to hinder his exit to get a good run as the Ferrari's pulling away on him already. My words, that hybrid system in the Ferrari working well. Because the Aston Martin doesn't actually have one, but there's slipstream working beautifully in the favor. As he's dove up the inside, he has proven himself to be better on the brakes. He's parking on the apex. And I think that is all she wrote. What a good overtake by Dominic Geese. Forcing all of the cards to have to be played by Shabolks. And now he's on the podium because the likes of Rick DeMoy has actually pitted from the looks of things. He's in there at the moment. This is seeming to be a long stop, as a matter of fact. Don't know if something's happened or he's doing a tyre change as well, but strategic-wise, this might screw him. Because Oliver Anderson and Timo Zidek, you just heard, go past. There's Timo. Because that is a recognizable V8 anywhere. And actually, with that pit stop as well, Oliver Anderson, potentially nursing his tyres a bit more in the first stint, has pulled away from Timo quite substantially. So Oliver, once again, seeming to just be the strategic mastermind of all of this, has jumped his teammate and the likes of Rick DeMoy, who's still in the box. I don't know what's happened here. Is it... It might be hardware failure, but this is something we don't like to see. He's finally off. But compared to the untalented motorsport lads, that felt very, very long. I need to check the rules and regulations of the league on that one, but it does feel odd as to what's going on there. As he locks up into T1 as well. I'll see if I can have a conversation with him to see what has happened there, because it does seem off. We'll head back to LMGT3. Currently following the McLaren, or Craig Hill, in third at the moment. Not too much has happened here. Kravik really just pulling away from everything. So we've got another yellow flag. Seeming like whoever's waving those flags seems to be very, very sensitive, because it's mainly just cars going wide at the moment. Yeah, not much really happening. Just having a look around. And actually, this was going to be a fight. Barbosa and Torri. Torri's just pulled into the pits, as it seems like he's coming in for his schedule one. He's very slow on entry. The pit line is actually quite a way in, which is why you saw, at least within the practice, Dominic Geese absolutely planting it into the wall, because you can carry quite a bit of speed. If you practice the entrance well enough, you can have very good speed going in there, but there's nothing wrong with playing it safe on this, because consistency can win you races. Can win you series or entire seasons, as Oliver Anderson knows on that. We'll head to our leading GT3, Martin Kravik. who at the moment has 0.4 seconds up on his best lap. To the next car behind him, Pascal Vida. So he's at the moment just sailing. He's in the zone. He has found his comfortable spot. Goes deep to allow the fellow BMW but hypercar to go through to the back straight. He'll get a little bit of a slipstream, but naturally hypercars are a little bit quicker. He pulls away comfortably. Just going to sift through the LMG T3s a little bit. See if we have a fight anywhere. Fabrizio Torre, I was going to say it said 6th on his virtual thing for a time being, but that was it, just updating. This is Vida. Voros, one we had fight with, or had the fight earlier on. Really good fight, actually. Victor Lucan. Actually, Antonio Nota catching up quite quickly, who goes a little wide there. And actually, I think I did see, yeah, the Lexus of Andrea Vedetto just behind him. So there is a little bit of a sniffle going on here for a battle at least. Now I think Vedetto has actually pitted, which is why he's back here, because he was running in 4th earlier on. Keep an eye on that one to see if anything comes from. Giuseppe Torchio. Another BMW, the Brazilian livery. From the 32 or 31 WRT car. Very much like that livery, actually. Besides that, I don't think there's much else. Nelson Ambrajosa is actually now the one at the back. Not sure, is that? Oh, that was actually the likes of Giuseppe just going in the pits now, so good thing I cut away, because we have another pit entry. But yeah, everyone's seeming to come in around now to be the optimal time, whether it's a splash and dash or full tyre changes, but it'd be a bit of a mix-up. But yeah, not too sure what happened with Rick de Moy, because he seemed to want to come in for a full pit stop change. Top 5 in each class: Ursu Princi, Geese, Schultz and Urancic, 2 Ferraris, 2 Porsche and the lone Aston in the middle. And then a BMW, I think it was a Ferrari, wasn't it? Yeah, Pascal Vida and a Ferrari. McLaren, Mercedes, BMW, so it's a BMW sandwich for the top 5 at the moment in GT3. As the race has gone to that point now where it's calmed down a little bit, not much is happening on track. As I say that, that's the Porsche of Rick de Moy, actually, who's a lap down. Trying to get a lap back on Mick Schelikens in 6th. I don't think there'll be much on this, really. So a very odd one, really, with what was happening in the pits there for de Moy. It's lost an entire lap in the race. Whether he was fixing hardware issues, whether he was fixing some damage to the car, can't obviously answer that unless I talk to him. It seems like Mick Schelikens is wanting a little bit of a fight, because he might be a little bit bored himself, but this man's a lap down from you. You don't have to fight it too hard, or at least hopefully they won't, because that'll just ruin each other's race. Difficult part of the track. 13, 14, 15, 16th corner. But Demoy is going to sneak up the inside and is going to be unleashed now coming into the final corner. Turn 16, Panasonic. And fly down the straight. Luckily, it doesn't seem like it's impeded either driver too badly. Cut up to 4th position. Marios Shabolks, sorry. Ferrari going very strong. I mean, the Ferraris seeming to hold out the middle of the field at the moment. 4th, 5th and 6th. But all yet to pit. So things are still to go a bit AWOL. I think leader of the pitters at the moment, it is actually Oliver Anderson, who's pulled a good gap on his teammate. Yeah, there's the visual of the gap, but that car is still smoking. I need to have a chat with this man. He likes to run the thing boiling. That V8, as much as it sounds great, turns up back in the Cadillac garage. A bit more of a metallic goop. But he's holding good pace at the moment. Best 31.2. So he's a little bit off the pace, to be honest, but as mentioned before, consistency can win you races, and at the moment, again, Oliver is the one proving that. If the engine doesn't blow up, at least. Head to the leader for a little bit within Hypercar. Andre Ursu. This was something we were partially expecting from Season 1. Going into it, Oliver Anderson, Timo Zidek, quite a few of the Hypercar drivers were all saying that he was the threat, he was the driver that was really going to take this, but consistency across the entire season was the reason he only got 3rd overall, both untalented motorsport drivers beating him out in the end. For the time being, or at least having a conversation with Oliver just before, Andre has come back into this season a reformed man. Having worked on that consistency, the pace, as you can see, is clearly still there. Running very comfortably in 1st position. I don't think this season is going to slip away anywhere near as much as it did last time round. Actually, a pleasant surprise for this season. Luca Princi, car in 2nd, the pole sitter for this race. A fellow Porsche, whether it was one of Andre's mates, it ironically seems that way. I don't think it is, but a fellow Porsche showing to be very, very strong within Hypercar. But is one that is possibly going to give Orosu the battle that we also want across the season. Quick in qualifying at the moment, but the race seems to be where he struggles a little bit, as Andre has just pulled away from him, but he's very comfortably in 2nd likewise, with Dominic Geese, I think about 30 seconds behind, if I'm reading the voidical numbers correctly. Dominic Geese. So happy for him to bring the Aston Martin into this. The V12 singing machine. As he splits up actually an LMGT3 fight, which I might hop across to and see what's going on there. If I'm not mistaken, that's Voros again, actually. It is Botan Voros with Victor Lucan behind him. I would love to show the battle graphic, but I don't think it works. Lucan's alongside now, as I think the exit from Voros was heavily compromised by a hypercar. Ooh, that was a lovely sound from the V12. Actually, before we even get to T1, Lucan has pulled ahead into 4th. Voros just sits behind Contemptly, but BMW does go a little wide, goes very wide actually. But he keeps his foot in it and is actually going to stay ahead. The hypercar is going to save him on that. If you want your tinfoil hat moment, BMW with BMW helping BMW, and actually a snap of oversteer on the BMW from Lucan is going to put him behind Voros again. And he's stuck on the outside. That's a horrible place to have it happen in 100R. Because once you go wide there, you're kind of stuck out there unless you want to cut back across the course, which, especially with hypercars coming through, is a very, very dangerous thing to do. But the battle once again going in Bottom Voros's favour. But the fatigue clearly settling in for a couple of these drivers. Actually, as I've headed back to Hypercar, this is Timo Zidek. As you might have noticed, there was a smoking Cadillac behind him. That's Oliver Anderson. So teammates have swapped positions once again. I think Oliver Anderson actually might have burnt through his tyres in the first part of the second stint. And Timo's just settled into it a little bit better. Slips up the inside of the Porsche. Bit of an awkward one. Rattles over the curbs. But we'll see if these teammates fight too much. It might be a team orders situation. Whether Oliver starts screaming at Timo or Timo just elbowed Oliver out of the way. I'd imagine it's one of those sort of relationships. We drop below 10 minutes. 50 minutes elapsed it already. Elapsed even. Get words right. There's Dalmatian 1 and Dalmatian 101 staying close together. Marios Shabolts, someone who we've seen in quite a few fights, towards the front, going comfortably. Seems like that gap he had with, well, he had the fight with Dominic Geese. Dominic Geese has just kind of pulled away now. So as the cars have gotten lighter, it's fallen in the favour of that Aston Martin. We'll go back to our underdog for a little bit. Mark Cox in the Lamborghini. The Iron Lynx run machine, or at least in 2024 it was. Not on the grid this year, but nevertheless a nice looking car. Despite it not really existing much anymore, it is a very nice looking car. However, I wonder if Nard is running a heavy sim on that one, because if he wants to run it properly, he needs to pump up the heat a lot and have no AC unit, which really sounds unpleasant. Yellow flag, I think, actually was from this car, the BMW of Konstantin Buzas. Which actually, the big sniffer is not going to be as big come next year. We're going to have just sniffer now. This BMW has updated the aeros on this, so we're just going to get an Evo package on this. However, I think with hypercars at least it'll just be called the same thing. But Buzas at the moment is currently at the back of the hypercar pack, 3 laps down from the leader. But he has actually got Idris Partez for friends on that same lap. So the Alpine, who's pretty much half a lap ahead. Alpine's not had a particularly great run, as we saw him in the wall earlier on. But this is the GT3 promoter from last season. Came third in LMGT3, wanted to see what it was like in the faster class car. And is struggling at the moment. There's a lot more power in them, and he's proven that once again as he's gone for another spin. Gets it turned around quickly. Doesn't impede anyone. Very well done. But those tyres are going to be very, very cooked. And if he's not careful, he can actually still lose a position, because Constantin Bouzas, who I think was the late comer to the race, is on the same lap as him, albeit a bit way behind. Now I think we're going to see some pit stops come in, because technically these cars can run the full 1 hour without having to do a pit stop, but there is a mandatory pit stop within the race, I know that. Which I think is only for fuel, not for tyres, which is why I thought it was a bit odd that Rick De Moy, who's currently in 10th, lap off the leader. So far behind. It's very odd on that. This is our third place runner, or third place qualifier. To round out the Porsches at the front. But I mean, the man of the moment at the moment being Andre Ursu. A very dominant performance. This was something we only really saw last season at Sebring, where it really seemed like he had the moment of... I'm trying to think of the correct wording without being too rude. He thought, screw it, that's good enough. I'm going to have my moment, as I think he's now going to peel off for the pits. So it's really going to be all eyes on him. And I believe Oliver Anderson, who's actually gone ahead of his teammate again. My word, what are these two doing? I think there is a proper scrap going on here between the two, but they're not going to be particularly great in terms of getting much pace. But Andre in the pits now. Luca Princi has followed suit as he's ahead, quote-unquote, of him. But Dominic Geese, the V12 you heard go past, has technically now, for the time being, taken position. Andre gets past Luca again in the pits. Has that gap really come down much more? Doesn't seem like it, because Andre's going to get the extension from being able to come off the limiter earlier. As off he goes. There's a Ferrari, 5th place. That's actually, I believe, Mick Schelikens. No, it's not. Who's that? That is Balazs Juncic, which is actually technically for position. Balazs yet to pit, but could be a problem. Seems like Andre has managed to just stay ahead. Luca's a bit far behind for him really to be an issue, but Dominic is where the eyes are going to be set for the time being. As I think he'll have to either come in this or the next lap if he's got enough pace in him. I'd say if he's going to play it a bit safe, he's going to come in now, as he does peel off for his mandatory pit. But I think that gap was still too close to Andre. Andre's going to comfortably come past. Was actually, as I say that, he's got caught up in traffic. This is obviously the problem with an offset like this. It's a horrible place to have it. Marius Shabolk's also into the pit, as Dominic is still up on the jacks. He's just come off, but Andre's coming down the start-finish straight. Does overtake. Where's Luca? Luca also comes past. Balazs yet to pit though. He's going to be an issue now. Balazs going until the very last moment to overtake, but he might hold him up for Dominic. As Dominic's only just come out of the pit, actually. That is a much bigger gap than I thought. As we see yellow flag. Sadly, I think that is Idris Partes again. He is struggling to keep that Alpine on the track. Andre keeping position for the time being. What we will do, we'll head back to the GT3s. I've just clicked the wrong button. Martin Kravic just being dominant. This is something similar we saw last season. There was a McLaren that time round. BMW this season. Not much threat really on his end. So he's probably going to get 2 more laps with the time remaining, as I think Andre is about to catch him actually. Oh no, Andre is on the start-finish straight, so I believe this is the final lap for him at least. Pascal Rieder also keeping position relatively comfortably. However, the Sim Racing Holland car is being hunted down by the United Autosports McLaren with Craig Hill at the wheel. Seeming a little bit slow on the apex. That just might be me because I've not actually driven this track in the GT3s at least. An awkward spot to have a hypercar trying to look through. Idris Partez not going for anything silly. Goes for the outside. Nicely done. Partez or Pascal Vida's actually overslowed potentially. The United Autosports McLaren is going to be coming up going to be having a good whiff on this one. As we'll stay with this as much as we can, because I am aware Andre Ursu, I think, is coming around the corner. I think that fight is going to be one to watch till the end. But Andre Ursu came second in qualifying after having an annoying previous season, is the winner of round 1 at Fuji. There is going to be a sigh of relief on his end, and just behind him, actually in shot now, catching up quickly from the looks of things, was Luca Prizzi. Now Balazs Jurnsik is actually going to come across the line in 3rd, but I don't think he did his pit stop, so that will be a penalty coming his way. Dominic Gies, the Aston Martin, 4th on track. Very well done for the newcomer on him. So we'll head to the LMGT3s now. Martin Kravic. Absolute domination from start to finish, qualifying the whole way through. Being a little annoyed at the moment by the Alpine, but I don't think Idris Partez is going to do anything too silly now. Lets him pass, and coming on the start-finish straight will come across the line to really put his foot in and say, this will be my season. And Pascal Vida not too far behind, and actually has Craig Hill just behind him for company. They're going to take 2nd and 3rd, the final podium positions. But Pascal, after last season, did have a good showing when he appeared. But if he's going to stay around for this season, is showing a lot of promise. So hoping he does stay around for the whole thing, because he will definitely be a title contender. As I think final cars are pretty much across the line. Rick De Moy, a very sad story, qualified 3rd, but just did not have the pace. Or, well, had a very odd pit stop, so not sure what happened there, but we'll round it out. And with that, we have the final positions, if I am allowed to show them. I don't think I'm allowed to show them, so I haven't got... I can't show positions anymore either. My word, this broadcast overlay is very broken. Oh, that's qualifying. No, I can't show you results, sadly. Actually, I could do this. Hang on, mid-race results. There we go. There's the void times as well. Lovely. As I do this, we have got a couple of interviews. First one up that I'll drag in, Mr. Oliver Anderson. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Oliver.
I thought you would take Dominic first.
No. We'll go up the listings. So we'll go. Yeah, I'll do it backwards this time around. So 7th in the end.
Yeah. Not the dream start to the season, honestly. It should have been 6th, but at the end I gave Timo the position on the start-finish straight on the final lap for the sakes of the Drivers' Championship for him. So that was one there, and I had my car overheated, obviously, during the race, so a lot of smoke, and just realized after the race and final lap that I only had 86% braking, which wasn't optimal, to be honest. I think that explains why I had no pace in the race. But enough of the bad excuses.
Not optimal at all.
No, I knew better. I just haven't raced for so long now that I forgot about the pre-race checks. But it is what it is, I guess. Not that many crashes this season. And I think the LMGT3 race winner, he must think that I'm an absolute idiot. Every time I had to lap him, it's like I made some sort of shitty mistake that made me look horrendous in front of him.
Actually, based on that, the fight with your teammate, how annoyed was Timo when you overtook him in the pits? Because I actually think the fact that your pit lane setup was you just ahead of him was the reason you overtook, because he had to swivel the car out.
The reason why he overtook is he changed the tire on the car and I didn't.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he had a massive flat spot on one of the tires, so he opted to change that. That's why he pitted at that point. I pitted at that point to try and cool down the engine just a tiny bit.
But yeah, that overheating engine, it seems like that's a common thing with you, because thinking back to Sebring last season, you ran it very hot as well. Now, was that coolant flaps that you just decided not to open up again?
Well, at Sebring I had maximum open on the car, but this time I closed the grill 50% for qualifying, and then I forgot to open it for the race.
Ah.
Again, a little bit unexperienced, a rookie mistake. I shouldn't be doing that as a champion, but hey, it is what it is.
Very much so.
Fun battle in the start of the race with one of those blue and white Ferraris. I made a little bit of an iffy move on him, and he made a little bit of an iffy move on me, so I think that pans out great at the end.
Makes it fair. Makes it fair.
Was fun. Although I was trying to be a little bit of a dick to him and block him behind an LMGT3 car, and he had none of that. That was also great fun. Part of endurance racing, or multi-class at least.
But yeah, looking forward in the season, where you're going to be mainly aiming, because obviously at the moment your pace is, at least compared to last season, a little bit lacking, but your strategy seeming to hold up strong, a little bit at least, trying to run the whole race at least on tyres, because you did look after your tyres, hence why you overtook Timo. But yeah, where will be the focus going forwards from here?
Getting the pace back, not fucking up with the brakes, and then beating Dominic. That will be the main target, Dominic Geese, who had a way too good race this time around. And yeah, just trying to aid Timo as much as possible in his attempt to get a reasonable championship finish this season.
So Timo being or assisting Timo and bringing Dominic in. Are you annoyed about Dominic's pace? Because I'm aware you're the one that coaxed him in, but I don't think you expected him to pull away just like that.
Absolutely not. A little bit, not surprised about Dominic's pace. He is a quick guy, and I think in 9 out of 10 races, to be honest, he would very likely beat me. But it is fun to play a little bit up with some storylines, you know. So.
Oh yeah, we're gonna love them. And actually, if you want me to create one now, the team battle. Untalented versus, who was it? It was Ursu and Moy.
Barris and Ursu and Moy. Yeah, Ursu and Moy, they'll be hard to beat because they are two of the quickest drivers.
Well, Ursu winning this race, very much so. But it seemed like something happened with Demoy in the pits. So
Yeah,
he
no,
fell back quite a bit.
I think he had a crash in turn 3. I heard from Dominic in the race, and that's why he took so long in the pits. And that all seems to be the story last season for Rick. Very quick.
Sadly,
but then,
yeah.
you know, the hypercars, you're always so much on the edge when you're driving them, and if you go just that tiny bit over the edge, then you're just in a wall immediately. So, yeah.
But anyway, thank you for coming in for the interview. Unfortunate on this race, but it seems like you've got your head held high for the rest of the season. And I mean, well, head held high for Timo based on that, as you're going to assist him as much as you can. I guess unless you're the quicker driver, which you're going to expect the same from him.
No, I wouldn't expect the same from him.
Oh, so it's one of those one-sided relationships. Understood.
Yes.
Okay. But yes, thank you once again. And good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Alright, he's already kicked himself out. As I'll bring in Dominic Geese. Wow, Dominic, coming into this season, well done for this race. Straight off, I think you held position overall, you started 5th, I believe, and ended 4th, but that was mainly due to Rick DeMoy plummeting for some reason. But yeah, you had a great showing in the Aston Martin, held 3rd for a good amount of time, but it seems like pit stops were the reason that Balazs at least managed to get ahead of you. But how did that race pan out for you?
Yeah, mate, it was a really great race. I haven't expected this kind of race because I did a Fuji race a few weeks ago, where I was quick, but not that quick as today. And the car just felt like I wanted to be. And yeah, I think the S-Mount is just like the car, which just fits my driving style, where I can just go to pace, and yeah, that's why I could manage to get on P3 most of the time. We have to see after the penalties come in, because I think there is a rule that says you have a mandatory pit stop.
That's what I was thinking. I don't remember seeing Balazs pit, so I do think you might have. I think you might have a podium coming your way. So a very good start to the season. And actually, if you were listening on the interview I just had with Oliver, you have very much annoyed him with the pace that you that you've shown up with, because he was the one that got you into this, and now you've just kind of made your name known on his turf. Because I mean, this was his season last time round, and I mean, especially in the Aston Martin, which, thank you for choosing the Aston. It was a massive joy hearing that engine. But the synergy between you and that car, you have some incredible pace. Is this what we expect for the rest of the season?
I hope so. I mean, my clear goal is to beat Oliver. I'm a long-time friend of Oliver. We did endurance races at SSRI before. And yeah, it's just a pleasure. Really, a pleasure to drive between these all drivers, all these hypercar drivers, as well as the LMGT3 drivers. They're all kind of good, and you can really fight with them. So I really enjoy that.
I mean,
I hope I can continue like this.
How was the traffic? Because I mean, I did see a couple of sketchy scenarios, not necessarily with yourself, but around this track, especially in Sector 3, it was particularly horrible getting through the LMGT3s. How did you pan out with working with a slower car?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult in Sector 3, especially from the chicane towards the finish line. It was difficult, but if you could just plan out your movement and say, okay, I'll just back out of this overtake on this lapping, just one more time, just going behind the LMGT3 through the chicane. Okay, its costume might be a second or maybe a little bit less, but something around like that will help you come better through the traffic over the race. And that's what I did.
Fair enough. And just to finalize on one point, looking forward in the season, the Porsches looking hella quick, getting a 1-2-3 in qualifying. How do you find your odds against them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Urso and Princey are pretty rapid. I don't think I can beat them on long term, but maybe 1 or 2 occasions over the season I can. The other Porsche, I hope I pronounce his name correct, Moji or something like that.
Demoy.
Moy.
Yeah.
Okay, Demoy. Was quick too, but I think I have the upper hand against him over the season.
Because Oliver mentioned that you mentioned that you saw him have a crash in this race, actually. So you're basing that one on consistency.
Yeah, he has a crash in turn 3, where he probably just went too fast into the corner, come on the curb on the outside, on the exit, and then spun out, crashed into the wall. Yeah.
Common thing to happen.
Yeah. But I mean, I can beat him on consistency maybe, but also on pace. I think I was catching him like 1/10, 2/10 a lap. Like, it's a give or take.
Good to hear. And do you want to have one final word to the man that was talking smack just a second ago, Oliver Anderson, because he said his aim at the moment is going to be you in the season.
Yeah, mate. Oliver, you will have an opponent now. Timo isn't enough anymore. He is your wingman, but I'm pretty sure I will beat you. Have a good one.
Sounds like Oliver's Timo's wingman, actually. So you've already slapped some sense into him. But very well done once again, Dominique. Good luck for the rest of the season, and thank you for the interview.
Yeah, thank you as well. Have a good one.
And we'll have one more interview with Balaj. Balaj, welcome to the stream.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing good. How was that race for you? Getting third on track?
Yeah, it was a little bit tricky race with the quali. I didn't manage to get the perfect lap, and I managed only P7. In the race, that was a good start. Stayed P7, and after there was a little bit of interesting situations with the GT and the other hypercars, but the second half of the race was more easier, and I managed to get P5 before the pit stops, and I managed to get +1 lap in my energy and finish P3.
So actually, that was something we were questioning. Did you have the pit stop? Because there is a mandatory.
No,
there is a mandatory pit stop in this. Oh, sorry to break it that way, but that might end up a bit poorly for you. But I mean, overall, the consistency you showed in that race is nothing to. Do not take it a bad way. You had a very good performance, especially with holding Dominic behind you at the end. Because you were getting caught up with the leaders. But how was it with the LMGT3 traffic? As you mentioned, there was a couple of moments with them.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments when I almost lost the car in the braking point, or in the long turns when I had to go wide and overtake the GTs. But overall, it was not the worst, but there was a lot of challenging moments.
And actually looking forwards with your current position in the overall season. We've obviously only had one race, but how do you weigh up your odds going forwards? Because consistency is probably going to be the thing that wins the races at the end of the day. So where would you like to see yourself?
Maybe in the top 5. But I guess my pace is not the best to finish in the top 5. Top 10 is basically more likely to be in the top 10 somewhere. But if I manage to get maybe a P5 at the end of the season, I will be happy with that.
Fair enough. And do you have any final words? Anyone you want to call out within the season? Anyone watching?
Yeah, I guess the Porsches will be, the 3 Porsche guys will be so fast, so I guess there will be no chance to reach them in any race, maybe if they make a mistake somewhere. But I guess there will be some challenging moment and some fight with my teammate Saboch, who was P5 at the end of the race. So maybe there will be some good fights.
There will be some good fights. But thank you for coming in for the interview, Balazs. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what you do for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. And with that, will be our final interview. So for anyone watching, in 2 weeks, our next race will be around Imola. That's October 8th that will be happening. And this time around, it'll be a 90-minute race. So we won't be having a practice on this one. It'll be straight into the race, or into the qualifying, sorry, which is a 30-minute qualifying into a 90-minute race. So going to be a bit more of a longer one. So I'm actually hoping for that one I will have another caster with me. Because otherwise I think I'll overheat a bit too much with having to multitask so much. But regardless, thank you for everyone who has been watching. This has been an absolute pleasure casting the opening and broadcasting, for that matter, the opening to Season 3. And until next time, we will see you in Italy, and thank you for watching.